Good morning. Welcome to Armenia. This coffee time is brought to you by Agua de Coco. Didn't have time to make coffee this morning. Been running kind of ragged after this trip from Manizales. I had so many things to do, and last night I couldn't sleep. I was kind of wired, and I was up almost to 5, and then fell asleep, and then woke up and go, "Oh my God, it's almost time! It's almost time!" Rushing around. Fortunately, I prepared a while ago, so I'm good to go. Okay, today got a lot to go over. Mostly the trip to Manizales, but the rundown of what I'm going to talk about today is, first of all, I've got a lot of thank yous that I need to do, and then I'm going to talk about the trip to Manizales. That's going to be the bulk of this. I've got an announcement to make. For me, it's a big announcement. And then I'm going to update the dating video. I've got something new to mention about that. And I've got a few things about the channel that I want to talk about, and that'll be it. Then we'll go to questions. Please remember, try to hold your questions towards the end and put 4 question marks in front of the question so I can easily find it and it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. Okay, now this is kind of how do I do this? The dating video was a fundraising raising video, and it kind of blended into the next day for the coffee time. And fundraising was to get that little camera, and there's some software I need for live videos so that I can show pictures and various information instead of just this. And so I needed to do a fundraising. I was going to do it sometime in the next year. So I decided to begin that with the dating video. So I'm going to thank the people that specifically were for this fundraiser, because there's a lot of people that help along the way with this channel, contribute to it to keep it going. But and some of those are in this group. So by Google Pay and GoFundMe, specifically for this fundraiser, I want to thank Mark and Craig, Bill, Charles, Robert, Donald, another Mark, Christopher, Rob, Jeffrey, you know who you are. He's probably sleeping. Jeremy, thank you so much. Don. And also there was a few, it's hard to pick out in this live chat because sometimes I can't see them when I go back. And they're generally, I mean, very often they're not actual names, but Sugar Skull definitely donated. Malik, David, Eric, thank you, and M. Carroll. Now that's the best I could figure out for the fundraising. If I left anybody out, yell at me. I'm sorry. It actually took a long time to try to dig back and find it. So the trip to Manizales. Well, first of all, I want to tell you it was very nice to go back. I haven't been back there in 9 months when I lived there for a little bit, and the weather couldn't have been better. We're in kind of the dry, warm season, I guess you'd say, although they all tend to blend together. But it was definitely dry. One night it did have a torrential downpour that lasted all of 5 minutes. It was about 2 in the morning. I was awake. But the point was to meet up with Mark in Pereira. And so I left here with my friend Juliana, and we went to Pereira, took a taxi from the bus terminal to his hotel. We met up. He had these 4 gigantic bags. Gigantic. And he did tell me, because we had a Skype call, that he was moving here. For some reason I forgot that he was actually just moving here, and so he had these massive bags. So anyway, we had to take 2 taxis, one for the bags. And we went back to the terminal, and then we jumped on the bus and went to Manizales. He he had rented a hotel. I had an Airbnb kind of on the other side of town. We'd made these arrangements separately. So we get him checked into the hotel and everything's good. I go over to the Airbnb and waited and waited and waited. And it was a hot sun. I don't know if you could see, but I'm kind of a lobster. I've got a burn on my neck. So I got tired of waiting after about 2 hours, I think it was. I'm not sure, but I just got tired of waiting. So I went back to the hotel he was staying at, or hostel, and got a room there. And I just stayed there, which actually made it pretty convenient. Hold on, I'm checking something. So basically, we were there for about 3 days. The first day was more settling in. On the morning of the next day, we went over to the area. It's called Zona Rosa Cable. It's the area where the old cable car used to be set up. It's no longer there, but there's an old tower, and it would go to a neighboring mountain where there'd be miners, and the thing would go back and forth with equipment and men. So it's a main landmark on the east end of the city, and it's probably my favorite. Well, it's not probably. It's my favorite part of Manizales. And I've said this before, but just so there's not confusion, I want to say it again about Manizales. My favorite city in Colombia, of all the places I have been, as for the city itself, is Manizales. It's stunning. It's amazing. You're sitting on this mountaintop surrounded by crazy views. There's a volcano in the distance. It's just far enough where it'll never affect Manizales if it pops off. But it's just an absolutely amazing city. Now, I love Armenia, but it's more for the people. And there's a lot of specific things that I love here. And I got to know that because of years ago, all the time that I would spend here on the weekends and then trips back. But Manizales is a breathtaking, stunning, modern, everything you can think of is there sort of city. Great restaurants. It's a touch more expensive than Armenia, but about the same. It's very similar. So it was really nice to be back. So we walked around the East End. We were out for, I don't know, we walked probably, I don't know, what was it, Mark? 3 hours maybe. I imagine he's probably on here. I think it was about 3 hours we walked. And what happened was everything was going great. We've got this nice cool breeze. It's a little cooler up there, being over 7,000 feet. Whoop, sorry about that. And then we're walking across the street, and all of a sudden, the sun pops out from the clouds, and there's no clouds anymore, and this sun is just beating down. Now, I want to mention the sun in Ecuador, the sun in Colombia can be dangerous, fierce, painful, inflicting pain. The worst I experienced at Ecuador was that walk I had in Vilcabamba that day, where it was a similar situation where the sun just came out and it's just this raw ball of radiation pounding down on you. You see, the thing is, you're not only at or near the equator, but when you're 7,000, 8,000, whatever feet, you're exponentially closer to the sun. You say, well, wait a minute, how can that be? You know, it's like we've got millions of miles to the sun, and you're talking, it's not even measurable in that scale. Well, the thing is, it's the atmosphere that filters a lot of these rays. And as you go up, the atmosphere is really just a thin blanket on the earth. So as you go up, and these altitudes actually matter, that protection falls away exponentially. So if you go twice as high, it's not twice the difference. It's considerably more the difference. So you have to be careful. And I've been in my routine of when I go out and walk and where I walk. I just never experienced that in Armenia because I have a routine going. I'm out of and when I lived in Manizales, I had a routine there too. Of course, it usually rains a lot too, but on this day it didn't. And this sun was fierce. It was wicked. I wasn't wearing any sunscreen, didn't have a hat. Mark, he's a little thin on the top, and by the time the couple days were over, I think he might have had a sunburn up there. Very poor thought process on my part. So you benefit from it. If you come down here, make sure you're wearing a hat or sunscreen or something, even if it seems like it's not that bad. Once you're in a place for a while, you can dial it in where you just never run into that. But it was pretty rough. Changing my page here. So at night, he'd say, well, let's go to the restaurant. It's my treat. So we asked the lady at the hotel, what's a good restaurant here? And sorry, I keep bumping this. And she said, well, I don't know. You know, and we finally got it out of her. There was a seafood restaurant a block away. So we said, well, we'll go check it out. What was something blue? I don't even remember. So we go down there, and it's on the second floor. We get a table by this. These doors are open, and there's a balcony there. It's on the corner. It's a rounded balcony on the corner. We're sitting right next to that. So we got a nice breeze. It's awesome. Nice restaurant. And he ordered some shrimp, and I ordered up langostinos, which are just big shrimp. And we had a great dinner. So the next night he wants to go. So we go back to the same place. And he orders langostino and steak. And says, you know, you should order the same thing. So I did. I ordered langostino and steak, 2 dinners. They were laughing. But the shrimp and langostino, it's not all that filling. And, you know, we didn't have lunch or anything. So, you know, it wasn't as outrageous as it may sound. The steak was a little on the tough side. It was a Colombian steak. It was a little on the tough side. Crazy good. It was so tasty. Now, he's coming from the U.S., so, you know, his taste buds are still current with the U.S., and he found it the same way. He found it a little tougher than I did. I'm kind of used to it. But, I mean, you could cut it with your knife, and, you know, it wasn't that bad. But, you know, it wasn't melting your mouth. So it was a great dinner. And then on the third night, he wants to go back. We go back to the same restaurant. And that time we got barbecue ribs, which were crazy good. And it didn't say in the description, but they were boneless. So when it first came out, we didn't realize that. And it looked like 3 ribs. And it's like, well, we're probably going to be hungry again. But then it was boneless, and they were a really good chunk. It was probably 3/4 pound of meat. It was really good. And for dessert, I was full. He had never heard of tiramisu. I don't know how that is possible. It exists in every country on this planet. It's everywhere. It's a favorite dessert in the United States, but he had never heard of tiramisu, so he had to try it. So he got one and he ate it. And then he had to order another one, and he ate it. And there were these little bitty things, but so that was a nice time. The cost there, the entrees range from $6 to $10, so it wasn't about to break the bank. And this was a nice restaurant. Another thing of note is we were near the mall on the East End, Cable Mall, and up looking around. I was trying to find this little camera to see if they had one there, just to take a look at it. And we were thirsty, so we stopped in to get a juice. It was actually a coffee shop, but they had, you know, like everywhere, in natural juice. And She said they had tangerine. I wanted orange juice, tangerine. All right, I'll give it a shot. It was the best tangerine juice I've ever had in my life. It was so good. Mark, try this. He says, "Oh my God, it was, well, can't really describe it to you, can I? It was better than eating the best tangerine you've ever had in your life. It was so good." Enough till I thought I'd mention it. The first morning when we went over to Zona Rosa, we decided to go to Juan Valdez, where a long time ago I went there and had a coffee and a cinnamon roll, because I hadn't had a cinnamon roll in so long. They make some pretty good ones. So we did the same thing. We went over there to get started. We actually ended up talking for a couple hours about Manizales, and then we went and walked for another 3 hours or so. And the next day, he's got, I guess it's an Airbnb, but it's an entire apartment in an apartment building. And he's in the hotel for a few days, then he goes over there for, I don't know, something close to a month. And he wanted to check it out. Now, his vision is not very good. He uses a walking stick. And so seeing some of these things ahead of time would just be useful when the time came. So sure, so we go over there, and this is on the west end of town, at the very west end, where the parks are. Chipre Park, the Founders Park. It's just south of there if you know Manizales at all. So we go over there. Now, even though he can't really see, he loves to run. And he was hoping that there might be some place that he can run without getting killed. So we get over there, and this place was built for him. The sidewalks from where his apartment building is all the way up to the park, I don't know how far it is, maybe a mile, I'm not sure, because it kind of winds around. But the sidewalks are these triple wide. There's a bike lane and then this extra wide sidewalk. They're all like new. There's no potholes. I was joking with him that they built this for him. I mean, you know, what a coincidence. He will have absolutely no problem running. It was amazing. It had been the best sidewalk combination bike path, which is really also a running path, especially at 5 in the morning, in the entire of South America. It's gorgeous. And as you're running along, you're at the edge of the mountain. So you have this panoramic thing, and he can make out the lights, but you have this panoramic view. But when you're at the edge, you're getting these cool winds coming up the slope and hitting you. So it's like natural air conditioning. And so what better could you have if you're out running? Believe it or not, I used to run a lot, and cool breezes just kind of reinvigorate you. By the time you're done, you're not even tired. So we checked it out, and it was pretty perfect. Great building, all kinds of things surrounding him. Nice run up to the park. So after we did that, we went up to the park. You have to see Founders Park. I mean, you have to see all the monuments. I would be showing you here if I had the different software, but I don't. So you have these amazing monuments, which will be in a video for Wednesday. Even though, you know, I'm trying to deal with a couple corrupted pieces of equipment, you know, hence that fundraiser, I got enough to do a video. What happens is the sound cuts in and out. So basically I have no sound. That's why for the last month or two, you're getting me really narrations rather than sound with the video like I did for forever. So I went through the clips when I got back, and there were, as usual, corrupted clips. But fortunately, I got lucky. It wasn't so many, and the ones that were corrupted, as I recall, probably weren't all that important. So I've got some really good clips, and I will put that together for you. Oh, so we're at the park and checking it out, and it's gorgeous. We go over and get another juice. With Juliana was with us on this one, and we go over and we get another juice, and it's really good. And it's got this nice vendor. I've got a clip of him that did come out. Nice guy, working real fast to get the juice, and he was doing his best, even though this was a sidewalk vendor. Uh, that I mean, it's just a little cart, and he's an old guy, and it's got a little umbrella. But he was doing his best to try to give service. So he's going real fast, and he fills up the glass, and he's not satisfied. So he takes another half an orange and squeezes it to fill it to the brim to make sure we all got right filled to the top juice. And he runs and gets napkins, and he's handing out the napkins. And he was such a nice guy. Uh, it was just a little memorable moment. And on this trip to Manizales, I saw some things that I hadn't seen before. I mean, it's a big city. You've got over 500,000, close to 600,000 people. And so you can imagine it's a big city that's spread out. So I hadn't only lived there for about 3 months. And, it's not enough to see everything everywhere. You can live in a place your whole life and not see it all. But there were some pretty key things that I'd never seen. So it was pretty fascinating. And I've got some in the video, so I'll talk about that in the video. Went to a couple malls, walked around in the malls, just kind of get the lay of the land. And went to Caruja, showed him the supermarket, supermercado. I find English is getting hard for me sometimes. I kept grasping for words when we were together. I couldn't think of the English word. It's crazy. And if you ever meet him, he will tell you that, yeah, I actually can speak a little Spanish. He was with me in those 3 days, and so he saw or heard. Okay, so that was basically a trip to Manizales. We left on the last morning and got in a bus and came back and just had to catch up on a million things. If you emailed during that time or sent a message or something, and if you haven't heard from me, I will catch up. There were a lot. There were a lot of emails, particularly about the dating video. A lot of comments on it. All very good comments. But to the announcement. To all those people that I thanked that contributed to this, on September 10th, enough money came through that I was able to order that camera. So it's on order. I'm supposed to get it by this coming Wednesday. I ordered it Amazon. The camera is $319. There's $19 shipping. It's an extra cost if you want it tracked within a reasonable time. Otherwise, it could take a couple months and it's problematic. So in other words, you better pay that money. So it was $19, and plus the tax and there's other shipping charges was about $80. So it was about $420 all in on the camera. Now, I think it's interesting that when I told you that in the first mall in Cable, Zona Rosa, Cable, that I went around to see if they had the camera, and I found the shop. It's an Apple and GoPro shop. So I remembered it. I went there and thought, well, maybe they'll have one. Well, they do sell them there, but he happened to be out. But he told me that it was out of stock and we'd have. He gave me his card and said if he wants, I can call. Well, I won't be in town. But he said that it's approximately in dollars, $393. So it's actually a few dollars less than getting one shipped here, and it's in your hand. So that would have been great, but he didn't have one, so it didn't matter. So we go to the second mall, and there's this I don't know what you call it. It's like a Kmart maybe, and it's called Panamericana. And they had them, and there were two in stock sitting on the shelf, and they were $515 plus tax. $515, and the other shop was $393. I guess you charge whatever you think you can charge. They did have two in stock. It's no wonder. It was crazy. So thanks to you, I have this camera coming. I hope to have it Wednesday. I worry about it. Shipping is problematic to South America. I had things shipped in Ecuador that never found, never saw. But at least this has an insurance and a tracking. So, I'll just hope for the best and hope it doesn't take months, because got to do something if I'm going to keep doing video. I can't keep throwing out half the clips and have no sound. Plus, this is that little camera that it can act covertly because it's so small. And so I think that's going to help a lot. I hope I can capture some things that right now they end up seeing the camera and they make me put it away or leave the store or whatever. Yeah, I hope I can get away from that. If you got questions, you can go ahead and start asking them now. Let's see. Now, I don't have enough for the new software yet, but we've put a dent in it. Keep working on it. The software is more stable chat, first of all. Now, some of you have complained, and I know this, it's about YouTube. It's happened to me before, that we have this chat right now, and if you go to enter in, you can't do anything. It doesn't work for you. You see other people, the chat's working, you see other people using it, but it's not working for you. And it's kind of problematic if you're trying to answer some questions or ask some questions for me to answer. The new software will take care of that problem. I'll also be able to show video clips, whether it's behind me with a green screen or it's up here in the corner, or my head gets shrunk down here. You have all the options to do that. I can also, obviously, I can show photos. I can put an intro. I missed my little coffee time intro. Can't do it with this. I can play the intro, and then and questions, good. Keep them coming. I can play the intro and then go right into this. Also, YouTube's functionality is hit and miss sometimes. I can set this up, and then when I go live and you're sitting there waiting, and I click go live, and it doesn't go live. And then I actually have to scramble and open up a whole new package, because each one gets an address. So when I go live, you're counting on that address so you can see me. Well, then it's a completely different one. And it's, anyway, YouTube, it has a lot of good things when it comes to this live thing. I guess they're still working on it. It doesn't work all that great. So that's next, to get the software for that. And then future, I've got a couple places to travel, and so contributions will be going for that. My personal finance stuff is pretty much sorted out. I'm good. I can take care of myself. Life is good. But I learned some serious lessons when I went through that really rough spell, about how to live. I'll probably do a video on the caution of setting up your life, because you never know what can happen when you think everything is set, and what if the unthinkable happens. I'll probably do a video on that. But one of the things that I did take away from it is I really should not and can't afford to just pay for all the things. For 3 years, it was just out of pocket. And for a long time, I didn't even, take contributions, because that's how I wanted it to be. But it just turns out it's just not practical. It is kind of expensive, and it takes an awful lot of time. It takes a lot of work. And if you're end up living on the edge like I did for a while, everything kind of collapses. You know, that's why we're at the state we are in the cameras, and you know, trying to catch up. So I came to the conclusion that the channel needs to support itself. It doesn't have to support me, but it's got to at least support itself, and I can take care of me. So that's why you're seeing things like contributions now, whereas for a long time I didn't do it. Update on the dating video. I got it downloaded, and I'm working on editing it. It's an hour and a half long. By the time I edit out all the which I wish I could cure myself of that. By the time I edit out all the gaps, and so it's just information, it's probably going to be an hour, maybe even under an hour. I'm trying to find a platform that I can store it and to give access to, but only to people that I want to see it. I don't want this to be a general public thing where the trolls attack it and just, I just, you know, I don't have patience for that. You know, it's bad enough I get hate messages from people that never even watch a video. And it's obvious by the comments they make. They look at the title or the picture and then they make all these hate comments. Well, okay. But for a video like that, it can be a touchy topic. So I'm looking for a platform to store it. I hope to have this up and available for those who want to see it or rewatch it, whatever the situation is, in October. So that brings me to an idea of what other special live presentations like that would you like to see? What do you think would be a good topic for a live situation like that? Now that I figured out how to download that thing, I can in future do the same thing, and maybe put together a series of hardcore informational videos beyond just my daily life. So think about that. There's also a few topics about the dating that people are posing. But one thing that was asked of me is I'm doing a fair amount of Skype calls. Like I've got one coming up tomorrow. Mark, who I just talked about, I met up in Manizales. We had 2 Skype calls before I actually moved here to set himself up for the move. So I'm doing these Skype calls. If there is a particular topic that you know isn't something that I want to really talk about to the general public, we can do that in a Skype call. On one-on-one, when I meet people for coffee, I mean, kind of an open book. I have this problem. If you ask me a question, I'm probably going to answer it. I don't have a good filter. So, you know, I can work to your advantage. So, you know, if you want to schedule a Skype call for something in particular, you know, feel free. The money for that goes right to the channel for the various things that are needed. So, you know, you're supporting a good cause too. Last thing I want to say on the dating video is I really appreciate that everybody, you were all adults. You were all, you know, serious. You took the information exactly the way it was intended. There was nothing titillating about it, but you know, you can always get these kind of weird comments. And the fact that nobody was like that, I really appreciate it. It makes me feel like, okay, maybe I can do more topics, you know, along those lines. Not even about dating, but just you know, topics that maybe are, you know, I'm not so comfortable in a general situation. Maybe I can do more things like that. So think about it and let me know if you have any ideas, something you're looking for. Now, last thing about the channel, I want to first of all mention subscriptions are about 2,350. You know, we're doing pretty good, but I really am trying to get to 10,000. I'm trying to get to 10,000 for a particular reason. YouTube has some features that I would like to be able to offer you that I cannot do until I hit 10,000. Once you're there, it opens up all the features. You know, there's no other threshold. And subscribers, for the sake of it, I really don't care. But it's got a threshold, and I really want to do that. So if you aren't subscribed, of course. But also feel free, if you see a video that you think is worthwhile, or you're talking to somebody about going to Manizales, and I put the Manizales video, feel free to share that with them on, you know, directly, or send them the link, or put it on Facebook, because, you know, that'll just help pick up subscribers. Again, subscribers, for the sake of it, I honestly don't care. It's like, you don't make money on subscribers. There's actually no benefit except for that, and the benefit goes to you. So if there's any way that you can do that, I would appreciate it. I will say our views right now, I've got well over 500,000 views. I think we're 551,000 views, maybe. That's pretty serious for a video channel that's really just a niche. I mean, it's not like this is, you know, a joke channel or a food channel or something where everybody can watch it. You really have to be kind of interested in this particular topic, you know, to put up with me. So considering that, it's a tremendous number of views. What do we got here? What do I got? I've got notes here that don't even make sense to me. Nurse my sunburn. What? I don't know. These notes were even for the channel. Plan next excursion. I think this is my to-do list. Skype calls. Meeting in Armenia next week. Project. Oh, I can mention this project. Yeah, these were, sorry, this is just my to-do list that's right in my outline somehow. I do have a project that I'm working on. There's a girl that I met, speaks English, who has some friends, and they speak English. They're all in the university, and sometimes enough people come by to visit, and I don't always have time. Like, there was somebody that was just here that I actually know them, and I didn't have time to meet up with them. I was just coming back from Manizales. I just couldn't do it, and they were only here for one day. But normally, you know, somebody comes through and they've seen the video, and hey, can we meet up for coffee, or I'll buy you lunch, or something like that. And I try to do it, but sometimes I can't. And sometimes they would like to have somebody show them around Armenia, and I would love to do it, you know, if I do have time. Yes, I'm getting to the questions right after this, I promise. Well, I had this idea that these girls could maybe pick up a few dollars and fill in, practice their English, basically be on-call guys. Now, they're full-time college students. It's not like they can't really hold down a job, but this is something that, you know, could be planned. If one can't do it, another can. So I'm meeting up with her this week for lunch, and we're going to sit there and see if we can work this out, who they've got, who her friends are, what times they have available, so that if you're coming here to Armenia, or anywhere, you know, nearby, that they can meet up with you and, you know, show you around. That I wish I had time for all the time, but I don't. You know, with Mark, he hired me to go do that. So if there's another one at the same time, just can't do it. So I think you'll find that to be of interest. So now let me get to these questions. All right, bear with me here. I'm on my lawnmower in Florida mowing and listening to you. You gotta love technology. Interesting. Did you and Mark find an apartment in Manizales? If so, what was the process? He's going to be looking for an apartment while he's in this Airbnb. But the Airbnb is a very nice one-bedroom apartment in a very nice location. And I suggested to him that the price he's got, he may want to consider just talking them into, forget Airbnb, I'll just pay this ongoing. I don't remember the price, but it was very reasonable, particularly where it is. So I don't know if he's going to do that or not. We did hook up with a guy who's he's actually studying to be a lawyer. We met him and his girlfriend, and he speaks reasonable English. And he's going to be on call in Manizales. He's got a car, and I worked up with him a reasonable fee for Mark. Mark's not a rich man, but you know, he's going to need some help with this. And this guy, of course, you know, born and raised. Sorry, I keep bumping you. Born and raised in Manizales, he's going to be able to take him around to different barrios. Now I'm communicating with him on this side, you know, to give some idea as a gringo what's important to him, and he's putting that together with his local knowledge. So that's what's going to happen. The process is really, it's no different than here in Armenia. You can look on Facebook Marketplace. You can look on OLX. That's used a lot. Your best way is, if you know the neighborhood you want to live in, go out and walk it, because most apartments actually aren't even advertised. And as always, I advise to stay away from agents and try to rent from the owner. That'll save you from having to put down 6-month deposits and all kinds of crazy things. The owner is more apt to negotiate and be willing to be flexible. Plus, it gives you a rapport where you know, it's like you're going to be living in his place. It's good to get to know him. And if you have an agent, you might never even meet the guy. And I'm not a fan of that. So I don't do the agent thing. Do I know how much his Airbnb was for the month? I don't. It was 200 and something, and I think it 20 days, maybe 22 days, something like that. It's very reasonable because rents are a little more in Manizales. We're here to really get on the high end. For the most part, you may be up around $500. I'll get you like a doo 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 doo. Trumpets go off when you come home, and you know, beautiful place, 3-bedroom. In Manizales, it's a little bit more. So like my 2-bedroom, 2-bath here, which is $260 at least currently. In Manizales, this would be more like 300, 325, maybe 350. So, you know, a really, really nice place there might be $600 or $700. Where in Medellin you could spend thousands. A whole nother topic. Maybe a private Vimeo. I can't do Vimeo. Their terms are outrageous. It's been mentioned to me a number of times. I have an account, but I can't upload any videos because it exceeds their size. And to upload anything beyond that, you have to pay these exorbitant fees. The people that use Vimeo are seriously in a business to do that and make enough money to pay for that. I don't. And all the contributions that I just got for the camera and stuff, that wouldn't even pay for a year of the cost of Vimeo. So I would love to do it. I've looked into it. I looked into it again recently, hoping things would change, but it hadn't. I mean, I don't hate them for it. They're a pay service. It's just too much for me. Make it a Patreon perk. It's not a bad idea. It's a possibility. Patreon is a platform that some people contribute. Now, where contributors to the channel, they'll either just send it to Google Pay, which is the very best way, or they'll do the GoFundMe, which is the second best way. And the third best is the Patreon account. And the information is below in the information box of the video if you're interested. I've got for a couple of years now, I keep hovering around 12 people. Might drop to 11, go up to 13. Not the same people, some are, but but they contribute. So it could be like $5, $10 a month, but it's a subscription fee. So you sign up and you pay a smaller amount than what contributions generally are, but you're doing it on an ongoing basis. There's the ability to set up special perks. So if you're contributing a certain amount every month, then you open up this perk that you have access to that no one else has access to. It's a possibility. I am playing with that idea. I don't know. Appreciate the suggestion. Uh, I just don't. I don't really want to go full bloodthirsty on this, or even come across that way. So I'm trying to accomplish something. I'm trying to build something good. I am trying to treat this like a business and doing things like the Skype calls, so that the people that are using particular things are paying for it. But I don't ever want to get away from the free videos either. I mean, that was the point. So for more specialized things, maybe that's something I could put together. If any of you guys have experience in that or have suggestions or whatever, feel free to have conversations with me. If anybody has any real information, I'll do a Skype call with you and, pick your brain a little bit. I wouldn't mind a little consulting on those kinds of issues, because we all have our expertise in doing video. I mean, I was always a very good photographer, had no experience when I started this almost 4 years ago. I had no experience with video whatsoever. Not a clue about editing, and you would probably think I still don't. I struggle with it. So I'm just, I'm making the best way through this. So anybody has anything to share, by all means. You can make a video private. You can, but then it's not accessible. You can also make a video, what's it called? Unlisted. The problem is you can put it unlisted, except that link can be shared with anybody. And that actually happened. So for a short time, I was able to put the dating video in unlisted, and I ended up with 15 viewers that were not any of the viewers that registered. I got their IP address so I could see that. So obviously, the links were shared around. So it would just kind of defeat the purpose. And the link could be posted up to the general public somewhere. And then anything about it that you're trying to keep as a sensitive nature, it's right out the window. So you can't, I can't do that. Yeah, it's a dating video. I have no need for a dating video, but my wife and I are curious. But I would say it's more than that. It has a lot. I think a good portion of that video is good information for anyone. Talking about the states of mind about people, their views, and why they're like that here, and how that has an effect, particularly on dating, but in meeting people. It explains a lot about their views about security versus money, uh, a lot of things that are misunderstood. It's like I covered that, and I think I covered it pretty well. And I think people that watch that will come away with a whole different view of Colombians in general. It isn't just about dating. And I also talked about how to create a circle of support, circle of friends, how to create your own network here in a relatively short period of time. So I think I know the video had a lot of value, and I got nothing but crazy good feedback on it. So I'm glad that everybody appreciated it and put up with a half an hour worth of. Are there senior housing facilities in Armenia? Uh, I I would assume there probably is, but I don't know. I will tell you this though: if you come here and you sign up for the EPS, um, in some situations, and it depends on your age too, but you can probably work it out to have home care. So you can have your apartment and have home care. But even if you don't have that, it would be relatively inexpensive to set up your own home care service. I know several nurses, and I know just in conversation with them that if somebody put up $30,000 to $50,000 dollars, sorry about that, 30 to 50,000 pesos a day, which is like 10, 12, $15 a day, they could have home care, just regular home care. But there are certain provisions, like I know the Sura EPS with a complimentary add-on, you've got in-home care, not just for that, but if you need extra care for senior living. So everything that exists in the United States, I find here. That in particular, never gone by a particular facility that was like for older people. There probably is something like that, but for the most part, it's a lot of family and friends, and it would probably be more like they're in an apartment or they're living with family and friends. If it were me, if I get to the point where okay, I start drooling on myself or something, oh yeah, I already do that. But I would probably just forego if I can't go out and do things, and I would take that money and just put it to home care. How flexible is Google Pay? Sending and exchanging as good as PayPal? Oh no, it's way better. Google Pay is amazing. It's first of all, the sender and receiver have zero fee. There is no fee. It's instantaneous. It will track. If you get to a certain threshold, you have to fill out your tax form. I forget what that amount is, but I'm far from it. It's it can. I've had it for about 7 years, and I go a year or two and don't use it, and then I'll get a flurry of use. It's just absolutely flawless. It's never been hacked. Even when Google has been hacked, it's never been hacked. They put so much effort in it. The way I have it set up is if somebody sends money to me, it automatically drops into my bank in the United States, and then I can access it with an ATM card. And when it goes through, depending on how they set up to send the money, in most cases, it goes through the minute they hit send, I get an email telling me that the money's there. It's I can't imagine a better way to transfer funds. PayPal, I hate PayPal. They gouge you, first of all. They take these big rates out of it. But PayPal, we had a falling out, and it was 2 times. I had a PayPal account, and I was doing a lot of buying and selling of stuff. It was almost like a sideline. I'd go out and to these estate sales, and I would look through, and then the stuff I would get, I would say, well, I don't really need that, and I would sell it. It was like a hobby. Well, they blocked my account. They said that there was suspicious activity, and they have the power to do this whenever they want. There was no suspicious activity. I mean, everything was legitimate. I mean, it was books, and it wasn't even big ticket items. They blocked my account. It took months to free it up. The money that was in there, they also held. Now, fortunately, I didn't need the money, and back when I had tons of money, but it was really aggravating because that little hobby I was having fun doing, I couldn't do it because I was doing it with PayPal. Okay, so we get over that, and I go, all right, so I move on. Again, I'm using it, a couple more years, I'm using it, and they block it again. They froze the account. There was $1,800 in there. I just got paid for something. It was there. It was collecting because I was going to buy some things, so I just left it there. They locked it. It took me over a year to get the $1,800 back out of them. There was no rhyme or reason. There was no purpose to it. There really was nothing suspicious going on. You know, it was only buyers with a certain amount of history. So it was no anonymous buyers. I hate PayPal. I hate the charges that they have. I hate the ability that they have, or just on a whim that they can do things like that. I mean, what if that money was locked up in a transaction? I owed it to somebody, and now I got to out of pocket it on top of that. You know, it's just, I could see where they could really be hurting people, and I'm sure that they are. So, no, I will never use PayPal again. As a matter of fact, they probably would never let me have an account again because uh, I was actually moving for legal action. When I finally got it back, I sent them all kinds of nasty letters. So for a while, at least back then, they knew who I was, and they probably hated me as much as I hated them. So no PayPal. Jeffrey, thank you. Appreciate it. So do you see an advantage by going to Medellin first to try to get a visa? Why? Why why go to Medellin and pay more and stand in lines when it depends on where you're going to live. If that's where you're going to live, sure, go for it. You probably want to do it where you're going to live. Brought to you by Agua de Coco. I love that stuff. Got warm sitting here. All right, how did I get my visa? Without going through my life on the run with the lost passport and no documentation, after that was all set up, that time I was in Manizales, and it was suggested to me this outfit in Pereira to handle the immigration, the visa. So I said, sure, 30 minutes, 40 minutes on the bus, go down, meet with them. Very nice lady, but there's other people. Doesn't speak any English. It didn't matter. I should preface it. First, I sent an email. So she told me how much it was going to cost and what I was going to need. And for retirement visa, you just need a copy. Doesn't even have to be certified. A copy of your Social Security thing that you print off the internet, and your visa, and not your visa, your passport. I think that was it. Oh yeah, you fill a form out when you get there. So I get there. She filled the form out for me. Oh, passport photos. She took the copy, and she took copies of the passport, and from there she handled it in Bogota because that's where they're all actually done. So she took it to Bogota. She's couriers, and in that office they have somebody in Bogota, and then they courier it back. So I didn't have to go to the embassy. I didn't have to go to the Colombian consulate. It was just all handled for me. It was all done in about a week. Gets a call. She was actually going to have it couriered to my apartment, part of the service, but I actually coincidentally had to be in Pereira that day anyway. So I said, no, save your money. I'll stop by the office. I picked it up. A total of 10 days from start to finish, and the entire cost, fees, their cost, everything was under $500. To get my cedula, I got it in Manizales because I was living there at the time, but there was no line. In Armenia, it's kind of the same. In Medellin, you see people on Medellin expats all the time complaining, oh, I lost my cedula. I had to go and stand in this 2-hour long line. I don't know. Never tried to get a cedula in Medellin, but I can imagine everything else is crowded. Why wouldn't it be? And we're kind of mellow and laid back without huge population, very few gringos. So, not a lot of demand for visas in these offices or cedulas as there is in Medellin, where you got tens of thousands of people. So is there an advantage? I think there's a distinct disadvantage of going to Medellin first. But if you've never seen Medellin, go there to see it. I mean, it's quite an amazing city if you like big, polluted, crowded cities. Best way to transfer money from there to the U.S. Okay, the very best way is to have a U.S. bank, and I recommend you. I've talked about this a few times. My recommendation is, look how sunburned I am. My recommendation is never stop using your U.S. bank unless you have a particular need. Don't get a bank here. It just opens you up. It can be problematic. So the very best way is you've got a bank there in the United States. You just walk down to the ATM and you put the ATM in, withdraw your money. If you have retirement funds or any other kind of funds, it's just as easy as that. I mean, doesn't get easier. Second best way, for example, twice I've had to do this. Twice I've lost my ATM card. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm saying, no. I use World Remit. There's all kinds of others out there. There's Zoom and this and that and the other thing. I like World Remit because, one, it's got the lowest fees of any I've found. If I need to send myself $1,000, it's between $1 and $3.99. The most I've ever paid, let me put it that way, is $3.99. Typically, it's like $1.99. And every once in a while, they'll have a special for 99 cents. So it's pretty inexpensive. And the way it works is you can send it to one of the banks that they have that are authorized, and one of them is Bank Colombia. I would never bank with them, but the way it doesn't deposit in, well, it can. You can deposit it in a bank, but you can just have it sent, and you just go up to the counter with your ID. It could be your passport or your cedula. You just go up to the counter, and I'm here to pick up my withdrawal or my World Remit, and here's my ID. And they count out the money, and you go away. It's like they were holding it for you. Or you can go to one of the financial services like Western Union or Servian Trega or Facile, or they've got a bunch of money transfer services here, just like in the U.S., and you can pick it up at those. It's pretty simple, and you can do that until your new ATM card comes. English-speaking lawyers and visa assistants, mine can be complicated. The office in Pineda, the thing is, her husband speaks English, but I never met him. She's in the office. But what I was able to do is just, I told you I started with an email. Well, I sent the email and I sent it in English because I didn't know. I assumed because they had handled over a half a dozen gringos that we knew of, and all were highly successful. I assumed that she probably knew some English. Well, actually, she doesn't really, but her husband does. But it's their business. It's all they do. It's a full-time business. They handle visas, period. So what's complicated for us, for them, I don't think it's all that complicated. But if you send it by email, they'll know what it is that you're looking for. So when you go there, everything's pretty much set up. I went there, and my Spanish was even sketchier than it is now, and I didn't have any problem at all. So that's, I wouldn't worry so much about that. If you have a good place that's giving good service and, a good price, then you go to somebody's, promoting specialized in English. All the other things that are really important maybe aren't there. So if you're interested, start emailing now. Email now and get all your answers solved so that when you're actually here, you can just get it done. Or if for some reason things aren't working out for you, with that office, then you know that, and then you can focus on trying to find an English speaker. I found in Ecuador and here that the people that have the most problem, and I don't mean visa, I mean everything. The people that have the most problems getting things done, whether it's rentals or whatever, are the people that look for the English speakers because they think it's going to go easier. And it seems like that's where the vultures live. It seems like those are the ones that are going to overcharge you, that take advantage of you, that, you know, they're promoting that almost for that reason. Where if you just get a business that they're not concentrating on getting the gringo, they're just doing their job, I think you have much better luck. The real estate agents in Cuenca that speak English are some of your worst nightmare. You know, you're going to spend $200 a month more than if you just handled it locally. So I would say beware of that. It's our first thought, but beware of it. See if there's another way around it. With the visa, send off some emails. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. And in your case, Jeffrey, I can help you with that if you need. See, second part for why. Mine may be complicated. Yeah, I got that. Depends. But I would say give it a shot. And like I said, I can help you with it if you want. But here's another nice thing, is it goes so fast that even if you had a glitch or you have so much time to get it done as compared to the time it actually takes to do it. But if you're in the US and you have something other than retirement that may be complicated, whatever, do the emails from there and get everything lined up before you come. The rudest expat group in Colombia, Medellin expats of Colombia. Yeah, it's a nightmare. Well, we don't even need to talk about it. It's just, you know, I appreciate that the group exists. I just wish that half of them would disappear. All the other expat groups are friendly and helpful. It's very true. It's, yeah, this group here, expats of Armenia, they're so nice. They're so friendly, so helpful. And of course, Adventure in Grand Colombia. If you're not on our Facebook group, sign up for it. You get first notice of videos and what's, you know, you have more inside information on the world I'm living in. Whoa, no, that wasn't an earthquake. All right, gone over the hour. Last call for questions. Any questions? Got some contributions today. Thank you. Appreciate it. Get my mouse. All right. Look forward to that, getting you that video for Manizales. I think you'll enjoy it. When's the best time of the year to visit Manizales? Anytime. Anytime. The temperature is about the same year round. You get a little more rain at some times, a little less at others, but it's no big deal. I mean, bring an umbrella. All right, that's it. I'll see you next coffee time. Get a couple videos out this week, and ciao.